What drives the people and the state against each other? Throughout history, we have seen many societies crumble not because of invaders, but because of a friction between the people and its state within itself. And so, in order to prevent these things from happening, we would like to question ourselves, what drives the governments against its own people and vice versa? And to do that, we will assess the two books, The Prince of Machiavelli, the supposedly handbook of advice for rulers, and Henry Thoreau, Resistance to Civil Governments, to understand these issues and hopefully find the solutions or at least the suggestions of what can be done to lead to a prosperous and harmonious collaboration between the people and the state. And so to begin, perhaps we should look on how the state becomes so negative in the eye of the people. In my opinion, it is because that the state has expressed its interest not to represent the will of the people, but only to maintain its interest in power and influence and wealth. Because, according to Machiavelli, the essence of modern politics is all about the struggle for power and influence. People want to maintain their positions and achieve more, climbing higher in the ladder of power, and so they are ready to take any action and resort even to the most vile and unjust actions against each other in order to do so. And what is the better way than to tolerate and ignore the crime committed by those who in the higher ups or those around them in order to curve their favors and suppress the voice of those who would challenge them? It is by suppressing the voice which is of the people below them. That is why things like Tiananmen Square happens, because the people who voice against the suppression of the Chinese government are massacred. Or, like Henry Thoreau himself, thrown into prison because he refused to pay tax and support a government that is promoting slavery and committing an unjust war against the Mexicans. But is that really like the only side of the problem? No. The people actually give the state the incentive to take action against them. Why? Because in this case, we're talking about the people as a mass. And according to Gustave Le Bon, a well-known researcher about the mass psychology, when it comes to other characteristics of the mass, we must take into account of the infinite credulity and extremity, as well as the exaggerated sensibilities and the incapacity to be influenced by reason, for reality and experience have no effect on them. The mass, the public, the people as a whole are driven by emotion and illogic, not by reasoning. That is exactly why, during the protests following George Floyd's death, from the seemingly peaceful protests in the beginning, it escalated into violence, not only against the state or the police, but against the innocent themselves, exemplified by the act of vandalism and looting throughout the entire nations. If the mass is indeed logical, it should have stopped these opportunistic individuals within itself. But no, the mass actually ignored it and even encouraged it as a part of it. And that is why the state have the incentive to turn against the people. And so, what will be the solution here? The solution is that For the people, perhaps it is time for them to step out of the public and become individuals, to think about their actions, and not influenced by or driven by the momentum of others. As for, future leaders, perhaps supervising and revising their own extent of power could be the options. To take the grip of control on the people or take away the honor of ownership, their property, their loved one, or their freedom of thoughts, belief, or ideology, and they will make people oppressed and they have the incentive to turn against you. And so, in conclusion, what drives the state and the people against each other? For the state, it is the interest in maintaining and protecting their positions and power that turn them against these people. But also, the destructive potential of the people is what makes the state wary of them. And so, by the end of the day, the solutions could probably be for each of us individually revise our own actions and seek cooperations. Thank you.